I'll go ahead and throw out there some of mine. I'm going to start with, and this is a movie that I have to thank Lauren for turning me on to. It is from Great Britain. It's Ghostwatch. Yeah.
I watched that.
Yes, absolutely.
That almost made my list.
I absolutely love this movie, but I also love the controversy that it created in the UK. And for those of you who don't know what Ghostwatch is, Ghostwatch was sold to the public as a lie. It was broadcast on the BBC in prime time on Halloween night, and it featured people going in to investigate an allegedly haunted house. And of course, all hell breaks loose. People at home watching it freaked out. They thought it was real. Little kids were supposedly traumatized for life. The BBC never aired it again. They completely tried to hush the thing. And it's such a good movie, and it's so well executed.
You got to stick with it though, because the first part of it, it's just like, what am I watching? Right? It's kind of, it's a slow build. Mm-hmm. It's like you're watching this thing and it looks like some goofy fluff piece from the BBC. But I loved how they had the ghost was able to travel, and then they reenacted some things in the studio to make it look even more real, and having people call in that were panicking because they believed it was real. And yeah, that movie really blew me away. That was very, very creative. But yeah, they caused a War of the Worlds style controversy with it, and that made it even better.
Yeah,
right.
And it does one of my favorite things that movies used to do that they don't do now, which is that it pretended things were there that weren't there. There's a recurring theme in that movie, whereas viewers are calling in to say they see something on screen, and if you watch it closely the first time, there's nothing there. There legitimately is not anything there. But they have you so convinced that by the time they start inserting something there, you completely buy it. It's broken down all of your defenses. It's great.
Yeah.
There's a documentary out called Behind the Curtain or something like that I've been trying to track down since I think someone told us in the chat on this show about it. And I just would love to see that because it talks about all the backlash and people that watched it live and stuff. I'd love to check that out.
There was there was a mini documentary that I shared on Twitter about it just the other day, and it's really well done too. I think Ghostwatch may actually be on YouTube, so check YouTube. It may be on YouTube. You can. It
was on Shudder.
Okay.
That's where I saw it.
Yeah, it was on Shudder.
Okay, check Shudder. But yeah, absolutely worth it. Such a good movie. Love it to death. Another movie from across the pond that I love is the Japanese version of Pulse. It's probably the most atmospheric, bleak, just spooky, creepy movie I think I've ever seen. It's so well done. Everything about it is so well done. It's I don't know. It just has such a somber, because it's kind of an apocalyptic movie. It's it's very much with a lot of the Asian horror movies, you see a real difference in what in America, we fear our neighbor. So we fear the guy in the mask with the knife. That's the kind of movies that when we think of horror movies, that's what we get. The guy in the mask with the knife stalking us. In Asia, it's all about, spirits and unhappy spirits and people who died, unfulfilled. And it's very much a cultural thing. And so that movie just, of all the, and it's unfortunately, it's one of the lesser known Asian horror movies. Of course, everybody knows Ringu, everybody knows The Grudge, but Pulse, to me, I think is the best of them all. It just nails. It's just so good.
Gyro, is that the name? The Japanese name?
Yes. Yeah. And they made an American version of it, and it's awful.
It is. God, how can they screw that up so bad?
Absolutely abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. But the Japanese version it's so somber, it's so moody, it's so atmospheric, it's so bleak, it's just such a beautifully dark, dreary movie. But it just I don't know, it just gets under your skin and gets in your head, and it's so good, so freaking good. But definitely look into it. Very, very good. And here's one I've seen a bunch of people in the chat mention Lucio Fulci movies. This one, I don't know if it's necessarily a huge deep cut, but it's not a Fulci movie that a lot of people seem to think of when they mention Fulci movies, and that's City of the Living Dead or Gates of Hell. That movie, to me, I love the atmosphere of that film. It's so nightmarish, and like every frame, it's just so foggy and dark and bleak. It's perfect atmosphere.
That was another one I thought about, because when it comes to international cinema, Italian films are what I reach for. That's my weakness. And I know Asian cinema is cool and everything, but the films come out of Italy, especially in the 70s and 80s, and even the 60s. There's just some really great stuff, and I thought about that because I agree. It's just the atmosphere. It just of course the gore and everything. It's just it's I don't know. Some people might not be able to make heads or tails out of it. It might be confusing to them, but I don't know. I agree. It's a great flick.
Yeah, I think that's kind of part of its charm, because it's like a nightmare. It's like you're watching a nightmare where literally, like you can't, wherever you go to hide, the evil is there. You can't run from it. You can't hide from it. It's all around you. Yeah, there's not lapses in logic. You got to take you got to roll with it, but it has that nightmarish kind of anti-logic that I really dig too. And again, the gore. The first time I saw the movie, and when the guy puts the other guy's head on the drill, and the drill goes, and how they did that was my jaw hit the floor the first time I saw it. That effect is so freaking good.
There's so many memorable scenes in that. The girl that throws up all of her guts.
Yes.
I mean, although it doesn't hold up as far as an effect goes, because you can definitely, but still, I mean, just the effect of it is pretty amazing. And they grab people by the back of the head and their brains come out. And, it's so many wonderful memories of watching that. I actually got to see that in a very short theatrical run under the Gates of Hell title.
Oh, that's cool.
And another film that's on my list around that. It was like in the 80s. There was this one theater close to Chicago. I grew up in Northwest Indiana, but I'd be able to go in there and they would show a lot of Italian flicks of the era in short limited runs, and that was one I got to catch, and it was a great experience. That one stuck with me.
Gotcha. All right, well, I'll jump on here and give you some more of my favorite ones. This is a documentary. I actually did a review of it just recently. This is my favorite horror documentary, and I think it'd be perfect to watch on Halloween night. It's The American Nightmare.
Amen.
And I think somebody even in the comment section of the video said that it's available on YouTube to watch. So look into it. It's such a great documentary. It just such a well-made documentary. It has its own atmosphere to it that's just very dark and kind of chilly, and just a really nice atmosphere. And of course, it's got interviews with all the greats. You're talking Wes Craven, George Romero, John Carpenter, Tobe Hooper, David Cronenberg. And they're talking about, their best movies and what was going on in the world during the times that those films were being made. Tom Savini's also interviewed. He gives a really good interview. Just such a great documentary. And it treats the movies, and it treats the filmmakers, and it treats the fans with dignity and respect. And, a lot of horror documentaries I've seen kind of approach the genre and the movies with kind of, a little snarky, you know, tongue in cheek kind of. But this one is absolutely just treats these filmmakers and these films with the reverence that they deserve. So that's a great documentary.
Yeah.
If you've not seen it. Somebody in the chat earlier mentioned the movie Paper House. Not really a horror movie, but it's a movie that has still not made the jump to like DVD and Blu-ray in the States. It is on Amazon Prime though. So if you've got it's the same director who directed Candyman.
Bernard
Rose, yeah. Great freaking movie. Love it to death. Not really a horror film, but, you know, it would be a good movie to watch on Halloween night, I think, for sure. Great
Candyman
movie.
would be a good one, too. That's on Netflix right now.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's see. This is kind of a more recent one that I'd never hear anybody talking about, but I loved it. I was totally shocked by how good this movie was, and that's The Taking of Deborah Logan. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. I thought it was so well done, and I very seldom hear anybody talking about it. Kind of, as I recall, kind of found footagey, but such a good movie. Such a good movie. And creepy as hell, too. Just really
excellent performance from that old woman, man. The Visit needs to take a back seat to The Taking of Deborah Logan, because that performance by that old woman, remarkable to me. The faces she was able to make, God almighty.
Oh yeah, just fantastic.
Jesus.
It's currently on Shudder, I believe, as well.
Yes, it is. That is such a freaking good movie. I'll throw one last one out there. I love this movie, The Sentinel, with Christopher Sarandon in it. It's
he took
that
one
was on
my
my list.
Oh shit! We're all thinking alike.
A Michael Winner joint. Really good. It's kind of, you know, it's I don't know if I'd necessarily say it's a slow burn, but it is a little slower paced, but it's building suspense and tension, and it's got a great atmosphere to it. And
isn't Burgess Meredith in that?
Yes.
I was thinking he was.
Yeah.
A great cast, great atmosphere.
Yeah,
Awesome.
And got some really legitimately creepy moments in that film also. It got a Blu-ray release from Scream Factory not long ago, but I would definitely, it'd be a good one for Halloween night for sure. Join the $1 a Month Club and help support my channel on Patreon. Thank you to my current patrons, Kevin Smythe, B-Movie Mike, Robert Sobel, Turi Delamore, Stephen Flanagan, Lori Holt, Craig Farrand, Farron Sutton, Jeremiah Lambert, Grindhouse Grotto, Derek Jana, Demon Waffles, Simon Clark, Stone Gassman, Zachary Barton, Lauren Dixon, James Welch, Eli Geisler, Jeff Overing, Pete Toll, Kyle McGuire, Jay the Stingray, Andrew McDonald, Dave Barnes, Jonathan Lundy, Chris Gonzalez, Trenton Bowser, Jason Breitenbach, Brandon Bisdick, Steak Sauce, OG Myers, Mark Striano, Jeff Gardner, Travis Davis, The Obsoletionist, Chris Earls, Kevin Fitzpatrick, Randall Beatty, and Joseph Hinkle. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.